Hello everyone, welcome back again for a Let's Play of Europa Universalis 4 as Kazan. Alright, so now that we have won a war, it's about time to lower our maintenance by a little bit. Um, one of the major issues that we have to deal with after every single war is separatism. So every province actually generates 15 points of separatism unrest for the next 30 years to come. So you can see from all the provinces that I've clicked that all of them possess a lot of unrest. Now that's a major issue because look at me, I was trying to have a glance at race province, which is apparently an option now. You can burn down tribal provinces. I'm not sure if it's limited to just tribal, or you can burn out any province you want. Because if that's the case, holy shit! All right, so apparently our alliance with Uzbek is not going well. Uh, so I actually made a grave mistake of not sending a lot of not investing my envoy in improving relations with Uzbek. I totally forgot about that. I don't know why. And now we are in a terrible situation. Now, speaking of terrible situation, Novgorod just got declared war by Muscovy, and that's pretty much the start of Muscovite aggression. They are going to roll over everyone with their stronger military and their stronger technology. So you can see that Uzbek eventually broke alliance with us, um, and they totally lost interest in making friends with us. Here I see something quite interesting. We have Odoyev, which is apparently a Russian principality, uh, getting a whopping 10 troops from Golden Horde for free. So this is actually an example of the AIs indirectly supporting a war. So the Golden Horde is shipping away 10,000 troops to help this small Russian province fight off the Russians, which is quite intriguing because I've never seen the AI behave that way before. I think that's part of the new introduction from patch 1.18, which honestly is the best DLC to date because it totally revamped the personality traits of every single AI. Now you can see me lowering down army maintenance again because we are out of war, and honestly I just need to squeeze some more dough, some more ducats to pay off all my expenses. Boosting stability is not an option for me because my overextension is just huge, 56%. I've conquered a lot of territories, but most of them have relatively low to moderate amount of development score. So I decided to just give them full autonomy since I won't be getting a lot of ducats from them anyway. Probably 0.03 ducats a year or a month. So it's not really worth it to deal with all this unrest that they are generating. I also decided to promote Bashkir to a primary culture, mainly because I don't want to deal with the tax penalty, etc., etc. I would rather just spend 100 diplo point. It's really easy to promote a culture for some reason. I really wish this part would be a little bit more difficult because it kind of takes away the difficulty of the game. Right, so apparently our queen became an ambassador, but that's what I saw on the pop-up. What it said was that our king became a better trader, thus generating some extra trade points, which is great. Alright, so yeah, the Russian principality is still fighting off Muscovy. I don't know how successful they ended up being. The nation of Crimea is fighting against Gazimuk. It's a defensive war. Hmm. How the crap did a two-province minor end up going to war against Crimea? That makes no sense, right? I still didn't get how how the war started in the first place, but I know very well that Crimea could deal with the situation very well. Right. So I pretty much move all my units to one corner of the map because I've had really terrible experiences of positioning my unit stupidly at a very risky location, and as soon as a war breaks out, I just get run over by all those troops. Um, Actually, I was playing as Uzbek in the last game, and I was at war against Muscovy. And let me tell you, that did not end well at all. I was actually totally eliminated by Muscovy, and that's why I'm doing this Kazan challenge to kind of, I mean, fight them off while we still have time. I'm not sure how possible it is for us to survive. So this series is kind of hanging on the balance. It could be completely destroyed if I don't play my cards right, and this series might just come to a halt. We don't know, and that's part of the fun, I think, of filming this series. Alright, so we have the option of turning our southern territories into a state. Now I actually declined that because the income is actually less than the cost, so it doesn't make any logical sense. And here's where I discovered that I have a reduction to my army force limit. I started off this session with 19 army force limit, but I ended up with 17, and I think that's partly due to the fact that I'm granting autonomy to these provinces and leading them to provide a decreased amount of force limit. I'm not really sure about that. I don't read up on patch notes, I don't read up on game mechanics, so I kind of just go, just go natural, go wherever the wind blows. Alright, so yeah, I'm calling this province such news. Right. The fact that I have to spend a lot of money rooting up corruption is due to the fact that our queen is actually a spendthrift and she causes 0.05 corruption every month, which is just egregious. I don't know how she managed to do that, but it's just ridiculous. So here I'm checking out the strengths of the Muscovite army, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I could take on them while they were preoccupied with their northern neighbors, of course. And so I checked out the Casus Belli, and I discovered that I have a few of them laying around, so I decided, why not start a war against the Muscovites. You know how this turned out if you read the title, basically. But it was exhilarating. Just watch and see what happens. So I'm here trying to convince my allies to join my war, but I decided it would be a futile attempt, and Crimea couldn't really send their troops across Golden Horde to fight off the Muscovite army, so there was no point in that. I kind of just look around the world for one last time, just to suck in everything in case I lose this battle once and for all. And with all the preparations set in place, it's time for war, essentially. Now that fateful moment when I click on the confirm button, and early on into the war, things were actually going quite well. So even though we have a massive inferiority in army count, we managed to secure quite a few provinces early on. I even rushed straight into a battle against the stronger Muscovite army and won the battle. So here's the thing: when you are playing at military tech 3, it's quite easy for you to lose your entire stack in just one battle, because your morale, your discipline is simply so low that your army will just scatter after a single defeat in a battle. As you progress higher and higher in technology, your casualties would actually be decreased, because you find better ways to handle an army logistics and prevent them from losing out. So here you can see that I am taking out quite a huge chunk of loan so that I could spam some units and ensure at least some sort of superiority when fighting against the Russian armies in a one-on-one battle. It's quite a naive thought from my part, because I just saw 20,000 troops, Russian troops, and I reckon that's pretty much their entire army, which is completely false, because they actually have 2 stacks, and each stack has a 2-star general. So that's kind of unfair. And you can see that I'm actually trying to convince my fellow tribesmen to raise a host for me, but I realized that I need 40 influence in order to do that, and I can't quite figure out how to achieve that, which is kind of annoying. Apparently I took a decision before that led to a decline in tribal influence. I don't think I quite recall making that decision, but well, it ended up hurting my chances to get 5 cavalries for free, which is bad. Alright, so as you can't quite wrap my head around the whole territory stay calling your province multiple times thing, I think I should pay more attention to it in my next session. I kind of just click on all those green buttons, you know. As long as a button looks active and clickable, I'll click it. And most of the time, it's a wise click that ends up making my country better. Right, so you can see that I'm still revisiting the page, trying to see if my tribes can reach the point of influence required for them to raise a host, which I failed to do, because I will need to grant them at least half of my nation for them to achieve the influence required to raise an army, which is most unfortunate. So this is sort of the climax of the battle. I'm channeling my army all the way into the heartland of Muscovy, hoping that I can catch any weakened or injured troop and just ram right into their trajectory and just stack wipe the entire army. That was my plan anyways. Let's see how that turns out. So I chose to lose more piety because I decided that I won't be taking a lot of Muscovite lands, probably 1 or 2, and I probably need to work on my tax more than I work on my missionaries. Yes. I wonder if Nov means north in Russian, or it's just a coincidence that it's called Novgorod. Does it mean a northern country or something like that? If you're Russian and you're viewing this, please kindly enlighten me on that, because I think I'll be conquering all the way to northern Russia. So here's where the surprise came in. I kind of had my armies blocked off from directly reinforcing my main regiment in Gallic, and that was terrible. Wait, actually that turned out well. Oh, because I moved my army just in time to reinforce and scare the Muscovite troops away. And here is the fun part. Here is where a random 12 troops Muscovite army just came out of nowhere and completely slaughtered my army. and I wasn't able to move my reinforcement back uh, in time, so I was absolutely crushed. So the second time I was absolutely crushed because I couldn't run away. You can see from here that everything really did happen in a flutter of situation, and look at that, I actually won this battle for some reason. Uh, but it didn't save me from losing the war though, because at least 80% of my army has been shredded off in these two battles. I think it's a tactic by the Muscovites to kind of lose a few battles and then lower me down and then crush me with their ambush of a dozen troops. Because if that's really their strategy, then boy, have the AI improved by much. So right now, I'm pretty much shifting my focus over to appeasing Muscovy and then getting out of this war as soon as possible. I know that it's no longer a possible feat to defeat Muscovy unless Lithuania goes to war with them or something. Um, you can see me trying to recruit hosts, but it's futile. They simply don't meet the influence required to achieve that. It's the second episode in, and I've already made a dire mistake. But I guess that's the fun of Europa. Uh, if you manage to stomach the dire consequences brought upon by your decisions, and then you live through it, and then bring your nation into prosperity again, it's a hell lot of satisfaction. I used to play Europa Universalis by constantly reloading the game every time I lose a battle or I lose a war. Um, but I realized that's just taking away part of the fun of the game. Actually, most of the fun of the game is derived from losing battles and figuring out how to deal with a less advantageous situation. So you can see that I realized it's about time to exit this war, and the demands that were proposed by Muscovy isn't really that absurd. They don't want too many territories. In fact, they only want 3 provinces from our country. Uh, However, the catch is of course that they want our capital. So that's a huge loss for us. Uh, we lost our capital just 10 years into the game. I think it's 6 years into the game. Things are happening at lightning speed, which is quite cool. That's why I chose Kazan in the first place. Right, so I'm still earning a decent amount of income from all the provinces that I hold. Um, Still checking how can I bump up the influence of the tribes. Other than that, I guess it's time to call it a day. Anyways, thanks for watching.